with the tears in my eyes.
The cream of the crop. Acknowledge me.
Episode 341 of Top Rope Nation. Ryan Drosty, Justin Joint, Jesse Velasquez, WWE Backlash France on the horizon. Here to talk about it. Also going to talk about maybe take some Q&As here in the closing segment. More on that in a second before we get to all of the topics at hand. Jesse, how are you doing tonight?
Life's been tough. When your car all of a sudden doesn't start, you have about a 36-hour period without it. You got to rely on Ubers and family to get you around. Not good, Ryan. Not good.
Not fun. Well, do you have a nice drink in the glass to wash down those flames?
I was told I was supposed to pour a double this evening, so I did not do that, but I have my traditional Hendrix here mixed with a little bit of lime juice.
Okay, nice.
So your area still has Uber? I was under the impression that that was not going to be the case.
I think we got 2 more months until that comes up for debate or passing a law.
All right. Stupid city council in Philadelphia ruining our dreams.
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Shitty cold weather in Philadelphia. Apparently,
Yep.
WWE is now hesitant to go to a cold weather city again 2 years in a row for WrestleMania, even though it wasn't that cold in early April in Minneapolis this year. And it's an indoor stadium. And it's arguably the best stadium in the NFL. Oh, we're just puny and scared of cold weather and this Uber Lyft. How did we live our lives before Uber and Lyft, you guys? I don't know how. How did we do it?
Bikes, taxis, buses. I think that's how it rolled.
The light rail. I mean, there's plenty of transportation options up there, but whatever.
So seeing as the Midwest has been getting all these NFL drafts recently with, I think, Kansas City last year, Detroit this year, you have Green Bay next year. Hey, if Minnesota gets the draft in a couple of years, I'm pretty sure WrestleMania can follow behind.
Actually, speaking of which, congratulations to you both for, I thought, your team's knocking that first round out of the park. I liked all of your guys' picks. That was incredible.
Yeah. Should make for an interesting fall on this podcast. Competitive division. Jesse, you'll appreciate this. Did you see the meme going around about Green Bay in the draft next year?
No, I have not yet.
And both hotels are already sold out.
Getting to the stadium, there's literally nothing there. There's a church with a parking lot. It's not even that big. And then you have like 2 blocks worth of homes and then Lambeau Field's right there. I kid you not.
Yeah. I mean, it's a cool environment. I like to kid about Green Bay.
It's a great stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, if you've never listened or watched our show before, hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're on YouTube right now. Subscribe on all your favorite podcasting platforms. You can support us and become a patron of the show. You're going to see the wonderful names scrolling by here at the bottom of the screen. They make all of our bonus content possible, like Top Rope Nation Classics, Top Rope Nation Extra, Top Rope Nation Unplugged, virtual hangouts, t-shirt giveaways, all kinds of shit for $5 a month. If you're not a patron, I don't know what you're doing. As a former host of the show used to say, you're out to lunch if you haven't joined the Top Rope Nation Patreon page. And all of you that are members, we greatly appreciate your support. You keep us doing this each and every week. And another way you could support the show tonight, I want to do a Q&A segment. We haven't done a Q&A in a while. They can be any questions about pro wrestling, maybe even not even pro wrestling, whatever the hell you guys want to talk about. We're going to do a closing segment if we get enough super chats of Q&As. And so if you got a question for the show, hit us with that super chat. We'll compile those for the closing segment tonight. You can get those in at any point during the show. Support us with just $1 or $2 or whatever you want to send in the super chats. And we'll do that at the end. That would be a lot of fun. But before that, we are here to talk about WWE Backlash France coming at you this Saturday. It is going to start at noon Central Time, where we are, 1 o'clock on the East Coast. We talk about these PLEs that are overseas or outside of the country. They always have a great environment. So I'm looking forward to watching a show where the fans are going to be going completely nuts. The card itself, maybe not so exciting. We can talk about it here. Jesse, what is your anticipation level for WWE Backlash this year?
It's mild, in spite of the fact that it's in a foreign country where the moment WWE did that last year, they started kind of picking up that ball and rolling with it. I think when you're seeing it in continental United States cities, fans more or less, they don't sit on their hands, but they're not as receptive. But you send them overseas. You send them to Puerto Rico, is one of the top crowds I think we've seen in the last decade. Too. So I think France is going to really liven it up. However, I mean, it's a really underwhelming and quite predictable card.
Yes. Justin Joint. Number one, what's in the glass? I forgot to ask you. And then number two, your excitement level for Backlash.
Well, I have a backup if I smash my actual drink too quickly, but I have a backup zombie dust here. But I have a small glass of the pre-made Knob Creek Old Fashioned that I will be sipping on. But I didn't have very much left, so that's why I had to grab that backup.
I
about
haven't
yourself?
had that in a while.
It's not bad. Like,
Decent.
yeah, because usually I was worried when I first tried it. Normally, those kind of pre-made mixed ones are like way too sweet. And especially for me, that's what will ruin an old fashioned, especially if you go somewhere where they just load it up with soda. But this one's got the nice bite and good flavor to it. So I was pleasantly surprised. How about yourself?
Well, you read my mind because I got a zombie dust here too.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, had a couple left in the fridge, and it was calling my name. We went out and got some ice cream tonight, and I was like, "What would actually go well with ice cream that I just ate like an hour ago?" And I'm like, "Zombie dust is always good." I'll have zombie dust.
What kind of ice cream did you have?
Well, I mean, I don't want to go TMI on this, but the whole reason we went out for ice cream is my youngest went number 2 in the potty for the first time tonight.
Yes,
we told her we'd take her. We told her we'd take her for ice cream if she did it, and she tried very hard and finally did it. So we got to go out for ice cream, and it was like cookie dough peanut butter mix.
Okay, that doesn't sound bad. Did you go to Scoopsies?
We did, but it's been renamed now.
Yeah,
it's totally
like
different now.
Yeah, that's kind of odd.
Yeah, but
like, isn't it kind of
like a 70s vibe to it now?
Okay, like isn't it like kind of a coffee shop now too?
Yes, it is. Pretty
same ice cream. Coffee and ice cream. Okay.
Yeah, same ice cream though. So yeah,
is it worth stopping at the end of the month?
I think so.
Yeah, it's good.
They have really good ice cream. Yeah, nice. I think that could be in the cards that weekend. Definitely. Justin, you said so mild for you guys. I mean, I'm not very much anticipating this outside of the fact that it's in France and it's going to be a wild crowd. I think there is some intrigue to this and how it plays out for the future. Maybe not in the moment, as we'll get to when we get to these matches. I do think there's more intrigue than people are leading on when they look at the card just on the surface. But that being said, I think the card is extremely predictable. There's only 5 matches right now. They might add some matches during SmackDown tomorrow. In fact, I would be shocked if they didn't, since it's only 5 matches. But it doesn't look like we're going to get much changing hands in the way of titles. Maybe one, which we'll get to here. I think there's one match where there's a good bet titles will change hands. But when you look at the singles titles matches, let's just start with Cody taking on AJ Styles. And there's a couple of ways you can look at this. All right. So like this is in some corners could be considered a dream match. I mean, these guys have literally never had a singles match before. And that's rare at this level. We just had one with Ospreay and Bryan, a couple of weeks ago. This one for a world title. And these guys have had similar trajectories on their career in some ways, like both of them worked for smaller companies, with Cody helping start one of those companies, with AJ, like the mainstay of TNA for all of those years. And it seemed like he would never be in the WWE. And now, he's been there for almost a decade. So it's got that going for it. They both were kind of on the forefront of this era of increased popularity in wrestling based on what they were doing outside of WWE. AJ first, and then Cody, like AJ when he did the New Japan run and was doing ROH and grew his hair out and did the Bullet Club. That's when like there was kind of this underground coolness factor with the pro wrestling tees, all the Bullet Club shirts and stuff. That's when it really started having this like punk rock vibe to it, I feel like. And then, he leaves New Japan, surprise entrant in the Rumble back in 2016. And then Cody, right after that, does his run, where he's out there to make a name for himself. He leaves WWE. He does ROH. He does Japan a little bit. He's now in the Bullet Club. He's involved in starting AEW. So I find the match interesting in that regard, but they haven't really built the match with any of that acknowledged. That is something that hardcore fans can look at it and be like, oh, that's intriguing with the backstory between these two. And they've never touched yet followed the, similar paths. But I find the match interesting for that reason. I'm sure they're going to have a very good match. AJ is still one of the best in the company in the ring. He doesn't have a hope in hell of winning the title here. Everybody knows that. So I think when you book a match like this, you could say, you could put him in there with a lesser talent because everybody knows he's going to win and there's zero intrigue. Or you can put him in there with an AJ Styles where everybody knows Cody's going to win, but they'll have a good match. So I think in that regard, probably the way to go. Nobody would possibly buy Cody Rhodes losing a month after finally beating Roman Reigns, right? What do you think? What do you think, Jesse?
Pun intended here. Will the styles mesh or the styles clash? That is my question, because I don't know what type of chemistry these two are going to have. And one thing I also found odd is the last time that the WWE put a brand spanking new babyface champion in a match after WrestleMania, they threw him in there with AJ Styles. Roman Reigns had a couple of great matches with AJ Styles right after he had won, I believe it was WrestleMania 30. Was that 32?
Yes, I believe. Yeah.
For what match? Sorry, I missed that.
Roman wrestled AJ back-to-back pay-per-views after WrestleMania. I believe it was 32.
Yeah, because he worked against Hunter at that one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So right after they crowned him as the babyface champion going forward, you throw him in there with, at that time, could have been the best wrestler in the world. AJ's not that anymore, but I mean, all reliable. You're going to get a solid opponent. We're seeing something similar in the other company right now too. So yeah, there's a snowball's chance in hell that AJ's winning this. You got to continue this momentum with Cody.
Mm-hmm. Justin, thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of funny talking about. For one, I agree that it's underwhelming. It's very predictable. Zero chance AJ Styles is going to win here. But I find it kind of fascinating to compare this to what's going on in AEW with their world championship, because they're also same situation, an underwhelming choice for Swerve's first opponent. And, I think the difference is that the story for AJ and Cody going in is lacking, but I feel like it's more based on it has to deliver in the ring. Whereas with Swerve and Christian, I think the story going into the match is what needs to deliver more than the actual match at Double or Nothing, which is kind of funny when you think about kind of the core values of these two companies. You think it'd be flip-flopped there, but yeah, I mean, I guess I'm curious to see, to Jesse's point, to see how their styles will mesh. But outside of that, just cool. It's going to happen.
I mean, this is always the criticism of AEW. They don't tell enough stories. What's the story? There's not really stories on this show, or not many major ones that have had much development. Now, sure, they've had a month-long turnaround after Mania, not a lot of time to build, but they could have made bigger deals out of the matches that set up some of these, especially like the 4-way, which we'll get to with the world title match. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Again, they've never had a match, so I mean, it does have that going for it. Now AJ actually did work Dusty back in TNA in like 2003. They had a brawl, more or less a brawl at that point. And Dusty was getting pretty old at that point, but they were in the ring together. So there's some history there between the families and everything. And like I said, the similar trajectories and then making their way to WWE makes it somewhat interesting. But yeah, there's no chance at all that AJ Styles is going to recapture the title. And honestly, I'd be shocked if AJ Styles. Would you guys be shocked if he ever has a run with the world title again in WWE? Because I feel like his purpose at this point is pretty much what this is, to go in and have a good match when they need someone in a pinch. He's been world champion, so you can justify him challenging for the title. but it's hard to see how he would ever get one of those long runs again, or even a run in general, right, Justin?
Yeah, agree 100%. His days as world champion have, well, I was going to say have long passed, but then, mid sentence, I was like, oh shit, well, they got 2 world championships now. So I guess if you consider the other one, maybe if they get hit by some injuries, maybe in a pinch, AJ Styles is possibly someone you could plug in there. But yeah, I just don't see that happening. I guess my big questions is for what's going to come out of this match is, are we assuming this is a one-off? I mean, we all agree that Cody is winning, but will something happen to require a rematch?
I don't know. There's nobody ready made. I think that was the problem as well coming out of WrestleMania. Is usually you would like to have 2 to 3 guys ready made as contenders. Instead, you're getting very similar to 8 years ago. AJ Styles lost his match at WrestleMania to Chris Jericho. He lost his match to LA Knight here a month ago, and he just wins a 4-way and is randomly inserted, which just goofy altogether. And by the way, Styles last year wrestled for the 3rd or the 4th world championship in the final against Seth Rollins. So yes, he could be inserted at any given time. I'd almost rather see him do what Bryan Danielson's doing right now and just go wrestle everybody in the WWE roster and tear the house down, period.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to try to tear the house down because that's really all this match has going for it. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how this Cody title reign goes, because he doesn't really have a stacked roster to work with, and they're going to be doing stuff like this, I think, until they get the more premier matches, if they get Dwayne to come back and work a match, or whatever they're going to do. But, you mentioned the injuries that could change the trajectory, Justin. I mean, I think the injuries have changed the picture of the other world title. Certainly, they got the situation now with Damian Priest as the world champion, Jey Uso challenging, and we've talked a lot about Jey Uso on this podcast, especially Jesse, about main event Jey and how little he wins. Now, they've been trying to turn that around. I would say since earlier this year, he's been winning more often than not after a rough fall in summer last year. But he's winning a lot now. But in some ways, it might feel too early for him to get a title match. But, again, it was one of those situations where you had the multi-man match. You had Drew was cost the match by CM Punk and everything. And I mean, again, Jey Uso's not going to win the world title. It's not going to happen here. These guys now, you look at this, it's like 2 guys that have been like upper mid card, but it's a world title match now, but they have worked together a lot, whether it's tag matches or they have worked a lot of singles matches off of television earlier this year. They had a match on Raw last October that Priest won. Of course he won. Jey was never winning matches then. But they've worked a lot together. So they've had plenty of run throughs for this one. So the match should be solid. But again, this one, it doesn't really have any intrigue to me. I mean, the intrigue to me, I'm talking about this on the BR show earlier today, was how long is Priest going to have the title? And when does Drew McIntyre step in and get the title back? How will Punk factor in on that? What is Punk's timeline to coming back? Yeah, obviously he's still been on TV here and there. What do you think about this match, and Jesse, and then just the overall title picture there for the world title?
And this is 2 guys who need some momentum as well, especially Jey Uso, because this is kind of a quick little, you're inserted because everybody's injured, and then they have reshuffled the rosters to where I think Raw in the coming months is going to be pretty stacked here with additions of Dragunov, as well as, Gunther ended up staying and just getting healthy overall. I don't know I don't think they're going to deliver a, pun intended again, a main event quality match. I think it'll be fine. I like both guys, but again, make me care about Jey Uso instead of his frantic hands and his yeets. I don't.
Yeah, this match is very little going for it, I think. Justin?
Yeah, I got nothing. I've missed a lot of the recent television, so I don't even know how Jey Uso ended up with the title opportunity. I guess I just assumed that it was because of all the main event winning he's been doing this past year.
Yes.
I like, I guess I'm just regurgitating what you guys have already said. I like both guys. I especially like Damian Priest. Neither one is just world title, stars to me right now. This is basically the international championship of the WWE.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't care about the outcome of this match. It just feels like we're in a holding pattern until, guys come back that are probably supposed to have the world title.
Yeah, it was the night after WrestleMania in Philadelphia. They had the 4-way match with Jey won over Bronson Reed, Drew McIntyre,
Hmm?
and Ricochet for the number one contendership. Just threw those 4 guys in there, and like I said, Punk got involved in that match, cost Drew the match.
Well,
Essentially, is what happened.
luckily Ricochet went on to bigger and faster things.
Oh yes. Yeah. So, anyways, that's where this one's at. So, what do we think about how the title picture is going to look in the summertime? Because I think my pick, I've seen people like talking about, is Punk almost ready to come back? Will he work Drew at Clash at the Castle? I just think that the best way to do this is to have Drew McIntyre, and I said this like I think on our WrestleMania review, is for Drew McIntyre to win the title in Scotland at Clash at the Castle. I know it's only like a 2.5-month title run for Damian Priest, but I mean,
Plenty.
he just, I like the guy. Again, Justin and I saw him at ROH Supercard. I think it was Supercard of Honor in New Orleans when he was Punishment Martinez, and we raved about him on the pod at that point in time.
He stole the show for me.
Oh yeah. So I'm not trying to diss him at all. It's just like, clearly there's other guys that should have the world title right now. There's hotter characters. Like Drew McIntyre is the best thing going in WWE, period, right now. And I guess you could flip it around and you can make the argument maybe him and Punk doesn't need the title, because there's a whole issue of Punk, and like, God, could you even put the title on him with his 3 major injuries in the less than 2 years? But I still feel like that should be a title program. It's got a ton of television time in the build, a lot of attention on social media and all around the internet. It's the best thing going. And so like, if it's me, I would move the title to Drew, and then I'd have him and Punk work SummerSlam. You don't have to rush Punk back. He can come on TV and talk, and yet then he has all the way until early August to heal, and then they have this big match at SummerSlam, at the second biggest show of the year.
And I think if you don't go to somebody like McIntyre, you risk kind of devaluing this title that is, kind of in its early years. Seth did a pretty good job of making it feel important.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're, heading into midsummer and Damian is still the champ, but those matches are happening, 4th from the top, it's that title is not going to mean as much anymore.
Yeah.
You have the 2 most important characters of Judgment Day injured right now as well, Rhea Ripley, Dom Mysterio. So it kind of waters down that entire presentation. Seth Rollins, CM Punk. You have King of the Ring at the end of the month, by the way, which it's looking like Gunther is going to be the heavy favorite there. We have that card in Berlin at the end of August where maybe Gunther wins the world title there. Can Priest hold off McIntyre? Can he hang on to that championship for 3, 4, 5 months? Because it's seeming like Drew is going to be the only healthy person left that's credible to take it off of him.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any other thoughts before we move on? Let's move on. Let's move on to the triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley defending against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. And I know Jesse, being a Minnesotan, are a big fan of Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany got a great response on Elimination Chamber overseas, and the crowd was pissed when she got eliminated in that match. I think she is a bright spot in the women's division right now for sure, and I think that her challenging Bayley is the future program. So I guess the intrigue here is, what's the finish? And I think it's going to be Naomi taking the fall, or that's what it should be. And they move forward with Bayley and Stratton being the program. What do you think, Jesse?
They just brought Naomi back Jan 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, to have her taking falls this early, I guess. I mean, definitely Tiffany Stratton's stars continuing to rise. I didn't realize, looking through old circles, that she, like, when she left the gymnastic scene in 2016, she was kind of in a different fitness group that was like loosely associated to something I was tied into in 2017, 2018, 2019. I didn't know her real name until I just looked it up about a couple of hours ago, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's really cool to see the maturation from gymnast to CrossFit athlete to Olympic weightlifter to bodybuilder, and then all of a sudden becoming a world wrestling entertainment superstar. It's insane. But back to the measure at hand. Bailey should retain here. I think you want to have her start to garner some momentum moving forward instead of just giving her the WrestleMania moment and then transitioning to the next person. I think, again, like you were just alluding to, you can run a Bailey Stratton program and maybe have a title change at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm. Justin?
Bailey wins.
Yep.
Deep thoughts with Justin Jones. Make a graphic. Anytime we're talking WWE, it's just this graphic pops on the screen.
By Jack Handy.
Yeah. JJ Handy. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there we go. I mean, I know Naomi just came back, but, you know, she is somebody that's been around the company for a long time. She's been really good throughout her career, but I just think Bailey Tiffany is the way this is headed, and you don't want to beat Tiffany if that's the plan. So I think Naomi has to take the fall, but we shall see. We shall see. The Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane, defending the WWE Women's Tag Titles against Bianca Belair, the #1 draft pick herself, and Jade Cargill. I think that this is a slam dunk for the one title change on this show. I think that we talked a lot about Bianca Belair going into WrestleMania and how she would factor into the plans, because it just didn't really seem to be a place for her, which sucked because she is one of the best women on the roster. She's had such highs over the last few years at WrestleMania. But with that said, I think pairing her up with Jade was the perfect way to go, because Jade is still very green, but she has this great presence about her. Anyone that sees her on TV recognizes that she's a superstar. And so you pair her up with Bianca Belair. They just steamroll people for months, and they're this great team. And Jade learns next to one of the best in the company. And then they get to the breakup and they build towards a singles match at WrestleMania. Seems extremely logical. I think that's the only way this goes. Do they do some kind of BS finish and they win the titles in a couple of weeks? Sure, I guess that's possible, but I think you do the title change right now, and I think that's really the only way to book this. Jesse?
It truly is. I mean, I'm looking at two of the best women's wrestlers in the world in 2014, and then I'm looking at a super team in 2024 from a presentation perspective. I think it's common knowledge. Now, you want Bianca and Jade to just run through everybody. Because can anyone give me what was their favorite Kabuki Warriors WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match during this defense that they had? Was it Kaden Chance and Katana Carter in the rematch a week after they won it? Was it Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark? Or was it their NXT appearance going against Lyra Valkyria, who I believe was just called up to Raw, and Tatum Paxley?
God, these fucking names are such dumb shit. They got to do better.
It's true.
They haven't even been defended on a PLE. They were on the kickoff of Elimination Chamber against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. So I think it's actually going to be cool to see the majority of Damage Control move to Raw. I talked about how Raw was just devoid of women's talent. Now they've really balanced it out in that way. And then just let Bianca and Jade go back and forth between shows because their star power warrants it.
Yeah. All right, Joint. Let's hear it.
Sucle Blue, you guys said it all. I got nothing to fucking add. Stole my points.
I like the pairing a lot. This is definitely the way to go. And they have, I mean, Bianca and Jade, that could main event WrestleMania, right? I mean, that could be a huge match by the time they get there if they do this thing right with them as a team. So
yeah, if Jade's ready.
You know, they got Bailey away from Damage Control in the draft. Well, unless they retain the titles here and they can, float show to show. So I think it makes sense that they drop the titles. Then Bailey's totally away from them. They move forward with the super team. There you go. That's the way to go.
If
And
you're-
last,
yeah.
go ahead.
I'll say if you're going to continue with this women's War Games theme at Survivor Series, just have Bianca and Jade start their feud in there, have them turn on each other.
Yeah, could see that. Gives them a 6-month run, for sure. All right. The only other match announced as we record Thursday night, again, they might add some matches tomorrow, but we've got Randall Orton and Kevin Owens taking on the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa, your new leader of the Bloodline, trying to establish himself in that head role. Tama Tonga, this one, I think all of the intrigue is on Orton and Owens. Can they coexist, or does that become a feud? I mean, that's really that's what it's about. I think Owens and Orton are set for a feud, and they certainly lose this match. You can't beat the Bloodline right now with what they're doing, and it's trying to rejuvenate that group with this new look while Roman's away. So they're going to win, and so when they win, is there some kind of split with Randy and Kevin Owens? Because I mean, these are guys that seemingly, definitely Randy, but Kevin, he's been around forever at this point too. Randy, I mean, he's been just kind of treading water since he came back. He just hasn't done anything that impactful. So I think they're going to end up doing something together here. And then whoever comes out of that feud, might be a challenger for the title. I mean, who knows? What do you think, Jesse?
It should be Randy Orton. It's super simple because Cody and Randy were part of the legacy together. They have a history. Super easy. Randy credible.
Always a heel. He's better as a heel. Always, too. Yeah.
Both guys are better as heels. I love cocky Kevin Owens. So I guess I wouldn't care which one of them. Actually, I would prefer KO, but it's probably going to be Randy in this aspect. It's a good time to make another debut in the Bloodline. Jacob Fatu. I think I'll call my shot there. I think he'll interfere on behalf of Solo and Tama. And Bloodline are going to win this thing, and I think, you're right, it's going to start that spiral where Randy can get the edge on Kevin, move on to Cody, give them something to do, and then SummerSlam, Cody can move on to something bigger. And I've seen a lot of people out there talking about Tama Tonga and how he's going to be this young, vibrant,
so young.
This very young and vibrant injection into WWE. He's 42 years old.
Yeah,
Ryan, you're younger than
I am.
A couple years younger than him. You should jump into the world.
That sounds pretty young to me.
I mean, pretty close to you. I mean, he's splitting the difference between us. Pretty close, at least. Justin, thoughts on this?
I mean, Bloodline have to win. This new angle with them is too new for them to lose here. At the same time, both Kevin and Randy lost at WrestleMania. My thing is I just don't buy at this point in their careers that the crowd's going to boo either one with a heel turn. I think they're just too beloved at this point that I just don't think a heel turn will work for either one. And I don't think a babyface versus babyface version of this will really work. So I've got some concerns there, even though I am intrigued by a rivalry between Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. It's just, I've got concerns that it's just not going to work with the crowd.
Orton's going to have to attack Kevin's kids. It's the only way to do it. Although, in some circles, that'll get you cheered, though. So who knows? Yeah. I don't know. It's logical that, like Jesse said, the history that they have and everything. It seems like that's where they're going. But yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It'll be fine. They need challengers for Cody. He'll be heel. He'll do what he can to get booed. Whatever.
Should be pretty easy. No, not at all. Yeah. I guess I'll ask why isn't Logan Paul making the trip overseas?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
I was just saying, no, it's just too, he's too good to head over to good old Paris or wherever it is in France.
Yeah. He should be on the show. If you want to keep the title on this guy, he needs to start working more. He is super entertaining when he actually works. I would have had him on the show. It would have been nice. But yeah, here, let me make this point about I almost forgot this, and I was going to bring it up because Matt Camp brought this up on the BR show, and I thought it was a good point that we did earlier. So it used to be that these number one contender title matches seemed bigger, like they would be matches on pay-per-views to become the number one contender. And now they're always just these throwaway matches on Raw, where they just throw those, like the 4-man that they did the night after Mania, the J1, hardly any build to it. And I brought up, like, yeah, I mean, back in the day, one of the greatest matches in company history, the first Hell in a Cell match, that was a number one contenders match for the Survivor Series in Montreal, right? I mean, you can make these matches way bigger when they have the stakes of you get to challenge for the world title, and be nice to see them get back to that. Like, so this Kevin Owens Orton feud, if they go that direction, that could be something that could be across a couple of PLEs, and they could build up to those and make them big matches, and they could have stipulations, not the stipulation would be that you're going to be the number one contender, but like they can make them other than singles matches. They could do some specialty matches along the way or something. It doesn't have to just be a one-off TV match. I'd like to see them get back to these seeming like a bigger deal. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I think going back to the roots makes a lot of sense because, like you said, triple threats and four ways are just becoming just a thing of now, and it's repetitive. You see it on the other side too, just repetition. You'd like to kind of freshen it up and even just go back to yesteryear every now and then and try something. So no, I think a Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, we could just say even just a steel cage match because these guys can't keep their hands off of each other, but throw the number one contender stip in there. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
The idea is right. Just in today's modern pro wrestling with all the TV time they have to fill is just not feasible, for them to do things like they did back in, 97. As much as I would love for some of these television shows to be cut down by quite a bit to make all these matches more important because the wrestlers wrestle less frequently. But yeah, I agree with the sentiment.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when they do the matches, there's no build. Like it'll be like Raw starts and, oh, by the way, we're gonna crown a new number one contender tonight, and here's 4 random guys who are gonna be in the match. Like you can still fill TV time like building to that match or setting it up in some fashion.
True.
That's kind of what I mean. That
absolutely.
aspect. I totally get what you're saying, but like that aspect of like not just throwing these matches out of thin air where we're just randomly picking these guys seemingly to be in the match, so
you can do it much easier on SmackDown because it's only 2 hours and they don't really put an emphasis on the in-ring performances. They put a lot of the onus on promos and backstage segments, especially when Roman and everybody's there available. You get like a half an hour's max of wrestling. So it'd be super easy to, I think, at least pass off a Kevin Owens, Randy Orton number one contenders match down the line to a PLE. Yeah. Or anything on SmackDown for that matter. I mean, Raw, it's a lot harder for the points that Justin made. That's 3 hours of time to fill.
I mean, you have 2 nights of WrestleMania. There's no reason that they can't use some of that time to set up, future opponents in your next 1 or 2 PLEs. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So we got SmackDown tomorrow night. We'll see what gets added. But right now, yeah, it's a 5-match show. It starts at noon our time. I do love it when they have these shows start in the afternoon. I'm actually not going to be able to watch this one live because we got a lot of dance stuff going on in my household this weekend. But I'll catch it later that night, I'm sure, or early on Sunday morning. So I don't know when we're going to talk about this. We haven't even discussed this amongst ourselves off air. But at some point, we'll talk about this show, whether it is early next week or later next week. We do have a Top Rope Nation Classics to record yet as well, which I was hoping to do later next week. Spring Stampede 99, that's on the schedule. So if we can get some Backlash discussion in between then and there, we'll try to do it. We'll see what you guys say over on our Facebook group if you want to hear us do a show reviewing it or not. But I think all of us, our schedules are kind of messy this weekend, so it's going to be kind of hard for us to all get together and watch it by the same time too, let alone schedule a podcast. So we'll see. And when are you guys even planning to watch it?
Maybe Sunday night. And for the record, Jesse, it's in, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Lyon, not Paris, Lyon,
Okay.
France.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be watching it Saturday night when my son goes to sleep, or I'll watch half of it and then watch the other half maybe during his nap on Sunday.
Yeah. So we'll get to it. I wish I could watch it live because like I said, I always enjoy that. And that's one of the positives, us being in North America when they start at night across the pond, is we can watch it like in the old football time slot there in the afternoon. And I love that. Don't have to stay up too late to watch it. And it's great for us, but I like it a lot better than the Australia shows and that time conversion.
That's why I don't hate the idea of like a London WrestleMania, being able to, fire that thing up around what, noon. That'd be fine by me.
Yeah. I mean, we could hit on that real quick. I mentioned it in the intro to the show, but there was just a couple of hours ago, Fightful story came out where they said nothing's confirmed now. Does seem all the steam is headed towards Mania being in Vegas next year. That nobody's heard anything for sure, but people have kind of been turning on Minneapolis because, as we mentioned, the weather, wanting to do 2 cold weather cities in a row. People like the environment in Vegas when they did the kickoff show. I mean, Jesus, they do Vegas events all the time. I don't know why they needed to learn anything from that kickoff event, but they're there like a few times a year, for God's sakes. But oh yeah, the kickoff show blew us away. We got to do WrestleMania here now. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Like we said when we were trying to predict these, if it ain't this year, it's going to be next year for sure. I think we all thought Vegas either this year or next. We were hoping on Minneapolis. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. It's not completely dead because nothing has been confirmed, but seems to be moving in the direction of Las Vegas. So we'll see what happens. And then, I mean, it still could happen next year, but Minneapolis just keeps getting left out. I know it's been brought up that, you got that Bears stadium possibly coming. And once that's open, they're probably going to go there over Minneapolis, just a bigger market and everything. But
got to buy
I
a
think
boat
that
to go to
Bears
that
stadium,
new stadium.
I think that Bears stadium is a long ways away. I mean, at least what they proposed to put it on the lakefront, that ain't happening anytime soon. I mean, the governor just spoke out about that. He said it was a non-starter, asking for all this public money to do it. They can't really threaten to move. Nobody's going to believe the Bears are going to move from Chicago. Like other franchises, they threaten to move and then they get the funding. Ain't going to work there. I think it's all a bluff and they're still going to build in Arlington Heights. Personally, they own the property already. We'll see what happens. But
I personally, I like the sound of the Des Moines Bears. I think that works.
Yes. The Des Moines Bears. The Salt Lake City Bears.
Hey, they're getting a hockey team.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, they got Phoenix, didn't they?
Yep.
That was so last minute as well. It's very similar. Should I use this terminology in 2024? You can edit it out if you want. What a Pearl Harbor job by Salt Lake City taking Phoenix's hockey team, the Coyotes.
Justin's face right now. Oh no.
Damn, that was a me joke. Well done.
Not even on patreon.com. Exactly. Not even a patreon.com/Top Rope Nation exclusive. So I'm just hoping.
Gotta quote Gorilla Monsoon sometimes, man.
Yes. I'm still hoping for a WrestleMania 42. I think that's going to be the last chance for Minneapolis to host. It'll be 2026. And of course, they're going to say with the Vegas kickoff and how big it was, because you had one of the largest movie stars, which, by the way, I forgot to open the show with this. Happy birthday to Dwayne Johnson today. I believe he's 52. So, I mean, anytime he's going to be involved, it's going to be a massive spectacle.
Yeah. So that's what we got for WrestleMania news. I got to tell you guys, I haven't watched Dynamite yet. I didn't have a chance to watch it last night. I've heard a lot of positive things. I saw the opening segment, but I haven't watched the rest of the show because I did a podcast last night. I did a podcast today. The girls have kept me busy, my daughters, and I just haven't had time to watch it. I might try to watch it tonight when we get done recording, but were you guys pretty positive on the show?
Yeah, I thought it was exceptional outside of a completely out of left field and cold Claudio and Brian Cage match, which I don't know why the fuck that was on the show. But outside of that, I really dug all of it. I like what the Bucks are doing with the Elite here. I think that's really good stuff. And it's funny going back to Christian being the announced number one contender against Swerve. The second he came out, I was like, oh, that stinks. It's, once again, underwhelming, like AJ Styles. And I hopped on our Facebook group and typed something up about how disappointing this was. And then Christian got the mic and kind of immediately sold me on the match. Like, oh, God damn, he's good.
Yeah.
It's also nice to see somebody lose a secondary championship and then get elevated into a world title picture. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that could definitely happen when Okada loses the Continental Championship. He gets elevated to the world strap. That's going to obviously be down the road here. But yeah, I mean, that'll be a solid main event because Christian just talked us into it. We have that. And Kenny Omega's description of his diverticulitis. Whew.
Oh, man. That entire segment was fantastic.
So I was told best promo of his career. Would you concur?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
It's certainly memorable with the way he basically laid the groundwork for what was about to happen, which was really effective.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching it. We might wrap here because we don't have much else to talk about. And these preview shows have about a 48-hour, not even 48 hours of life. And then no one's going to listen to our preview because the show will have happened. So there's no reason to go like 90 minutes tonight. Our Q&A segment appears to have flopped. So we don't have a Q&A to do. We don't have many people watching on YouTube right now. But it looks like most of our audience is on Twitter X from what I'm seeing in the stats. But if you are on YouTube, we appreciate you tuning in. We would have liked to have done a Q&A segment, but frankly, don't have the support to do it tonight, so we're not going to do it. So we're going to wrap. You guys have anything else?
I don't think so. I'm good, man.
This has to be the quickest Top Rope Nation recorded podcast in the history of the show.
We did a couple that were like 35, 38 minutes. I remember at one point some really tight shows. It's been a while, though, but yeah, I mean, it's about
Kyle
50
must have
minutes.
been sick.
Yeah. He'd be like, hold on. I got something else. Settle in. I got nothing else. I've talked a lot of wrestling today, and I think I'm good.
Yeah. Especially since you're not caught up with Dynamite yet.
Yeah.
Can I ask one non-wrestling related question?
Sure.
Jesse, I don't know if this will be for you because I know, are you into rock music at all, or is you mostly hip hop?
No, I'm a rock guy.
Okay. Do you guys like John Bon Jovi or Bon Jovi, I suppose?
It's okay. I mean,
I'm
completely indifferent. I like a handful of his songs.
Okay.
I got like the Slippery When Wet album, like everybody does. But,
okay. I ask because for some reason, like I don't have any of his albums, like kind of like you guys. It's like, oh, I like the radio songs are fine. Screaming, living on a prayer with your friends when you're drunk is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But I watched that Hulu doc that just came out on him just because I realized like, I don't know jack shit about this dude. And he's like one of the biggest superstars ever. And, he's a New Jersey guy, he's got a connection with Bruce. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of curious especially with you, Ryan, if you were a fan of his at all, but I would recommend the first 3 episodes, especially the first 2 of the doc. The last episode is garbage, but kind of a interesting band, I would say.
Yeah, I did see the trailer for it, and it looked interesting. So, yeah,
that's all.
I'm more looking forward to the Brian Wilson one. I told you about that one, right, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of somebody else. The Brian Wilson one that's coming to Disney looks, or the Beach Boys in general looks really good. It's on the whole band. It's not a Brian Wilson doc. They did a Brian Wilson doc a couple of years ago. But this one is like on the whole band, and it looks real good. Like the trailer for that is phenomenal. I think that comes out in end of May. So I've been playing a lot of old rock music at school lately because I just taught Vietnam, and I just did a unit on like Vietnam War rock protest music, or a lesson on that, not a unit on that, but a lesson on that as part of this unit. That was pretty good. That's fun. Always like doing that.
Nice.
How much Credence did you play?
1, Fortunate Son, of course. That was the first one. I played Fortunate Son. I played Ohio by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I played War Pigs.
Oh,
I played Eve of Destruction. I played Born in the USA, of course. Said fast forward 10 years after the war, and this is about like the post-war issues. And I wanted to emphasize to them that it's not a rah-rah patriotic song.
I saw Pearl Jam live once, but probably the best concert I've ever been to. And they covered Fortunate Song as like their second to last song of the night. It was fucking ruled. It was amazing.
Yeah, Fortunate Son is a friggin' awesome song. What I feel like I'm leaving out something. Is there another one I did? I think no, maybe that's it. Because I play like 5 or 6 songs because that's about all I could get in. I have more, like Give Peace a Chance. I could play that. I've used that one before. I didn't use it this year though. I'm trying to look at my document I use because I can pull it up on this computer. Actually.
Close the show with Credence or War Pigs. That would be my request.
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, I love doing that stuff. Teaching, like whenever I can bring in pop culture to supplement the historical stuff, that's the best. That's my jam. That's what I love doing. So, yeah, Fortunate Son, Eve of Destruction. Oh, War. Edwin Starr. He's that one. And then I actually kind of changed it up class to class because I was doing this all day and I wanted to keep listening to the same song. So some classes I changed it a little. I used What's Going On by Marvin Gaye.
Nice.
And that one also, is a little with the civil rights movement. We just studied that. So that fit well. I think that's all of them. Born in the USA. Yeah. Good stuff. Hey, here we go. Here's the classic rock podcast. Let's transition.
Speaking of that, and enter Sandman, I'm going to finish watching The Sandman's Dark Side of the Ring. I'm about a third of the way through it.
Did they just do Sherry's?
Yes.
Oh, I got to see that one.
Still haven't watched it yet either.
I'm way behind on those.
Yeah, Sherry and Sandman are the ones I've heard are kind of the must-sees.
Mm-hmm.
My YouTube TV doesn't get it. So like I kind of have to wait until it eventually gets on Hulu. I've been not watching last season's Dark Sides just recently.
Yeah. If you search on YouTube, you can usually find them.
Mm-hmm.
True.
You can.
At least for a couple of days before they pull them. So. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we got. It's been fun. We'll be back soon. Guys, have a great weekend and enjoy watching this show whenever you get around to it. It doesn't look like it's going to be a very long show, so it won't require, hopefully, a whole lot of time. But we'll talk about it at some point, I am sure. So until then, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you all next time. Take care.
Will you stop?